Alright, I am out of the shower. I always take a shower after I get back in from someplace. Since I don't go to a job yet, I don't take a shower before I leave. I take a shower after I leave. When I work for someone else, I take a shower before I leave and after I leave. The shower before I leave is me being polite for everyone else. The shower when I get back is for my own health and safety. So, here's my coffee. I only made 1 cup of coffee this morning. And my coffee machine is really neat. This is maybe the only function I really think is useful. But if you look, there's an option to brew 1 to 4 cups of coffee. When you hit that button and you hit brew, it only brews enough coffee to make 1 cup with cream. This is a 16-ounce cup, so I put my half and half in and my coffee, whatever's in the decanter, and it's fine. So that can save me from, like, if I have to get up and just get out the door, like I had to do today because I woke up really, really late. I can just brew that cup of coffee, pour it in the mug, drink it. The machine turns off the minute it's done brewing that 1 cup. So then when I get back, I can brew the rest of the water that's in it and have the rest of my coffee. Now, since it's almost 10, in fact, it'll be 10 by the time I finish washing these dishes. It is 9:59. Alright, since I'm running late, I've got to get a quick breakfast, which means I don't have time to cook anything. Or I'm just gonna be so late with everything else. I basically it's so late that I need to start cooking this beef and dealing with these onions, and otherwise, you know, it's gonna be midnight before I finish my day today. Alright, so we're gonna have a quick, very quick breakfast. Not even going to heat anything up. How much is this cheese? 70 calories a slice. Alright. So I want... Well, I still want exactly what I normally eat, which is 2 cheeses. Alrighty. So, let's see here. I'll put the total of my Harvest Market in the last video too, but I spent $36 on that food that I got today. That's actually pretty good as far as that goes. Oh, I need to tear this because I had the fork in it. But we want 2 servings of this cottage cheese, or probably the rest of whatever's in this container. We'll see how much is in here. 121, it's going to be a serving and a half. Almost positive. 187 196. A whole serving would have been 226, so close enough. All right, so that is breakfast. And I'm going to pause this, eat breakfast, and come back and deal with the onions and the beef. All right, so I need to cut these onions up. But the caveat is that I need a food-safe surface. Because I don't have any plates or anything that are big enough to deal with those onions. So I have to cut them directly on this right here. And I used to cut them up top, but it's just a pain in the ass to try and get the coffee grounds all off that. So we're going to clean it as best we can to make it food safe. Now, I don't eat anything that I don't typically eat things that are not cooked. Cottage cheese and dairy products, of course, you cannot cook those, but they're pasteurized. So, I'm going to do this. Get it all clean. Or at least as clean as I can. Make sure to get the edges. And I guess that's clean enough. I need a knife. Alright, so I'm going to get my knife. I only ever have one knife out at a time. And it's for the same reason I said the other day. This house really destroys shit. So I only ever have just one thing usually out at a time. This is actually, I think, the last knife I've got. The others were destroyed by the house. All right, I've got my pan on the stove, full of water, heating that up so that I can clean it easier later. I got to turn off my TV. My favorite Star Trek episode of all times is playing. It's the Star Trek episode with Pike. It's from the original series with Captain Pike. He goes to the planet of the mind readers and gets imprisoned. That episode was actually the original pilot for the series. And as the story goes, no one was impressed with the crew. They weren't impressed with Pike. They didn't like the fact that they had a female first officer on the ship. You know, because who would let a woman reach a position of authority that was that high? God forbid that happens. So they scrapped that one, but when they rebooted the series with William Shatner, and they kept Spock. Spock was actually in the original pilot, and then he actually was the only person kept out of the first set of actors to go on and do the series. And that was Leonard Nimoy. He didn't die, but a couple years ago. He had emphysema. Apparently, he smoked. And it's kind of where I get my attitude about quitting smoking. Leonard Nimoy actually quit smoking, but it didn't do him any good in the long run. But anyway, that is my favorite Star Trek episode. And I'm going to have to turn it off because obviously it is copyright material, so I cannot have it in a YouTube video. But I could probably do a reaction video. Oh man, reaction videos. Reaction videos are interesting, but they get old pretty quick. So I am going to cut these onions. This is, I think, the sack that blew up on me. If I'm not watching, sometimes round things will get stuck. They'll vibrate their way through the grates on my cart. And in this case, you know, the bag tore up, the plastic bag tore up, and then so did the mesh before I caught it. So that sucked. But onions are usually pretty salvageable for the most part. I mean, what's not salvageable is if they've got evidence of mold or cuts or shit like that. So if one's damaged, I'm obviously not going to use it. But these were 2 for $5. You know, 6 pounds of onions for $5. So I'm essentially getting these onions for less than $1 a pound, which, you know, when's the last time you saw that one? That's why all my neighbors are now looking for part-time jobs. The interesting thing about it is, I don't believe the neighbor that picked me up this morning was looking for a job when I talked to her last month. I just don't think she was. And then I told her I was looking for one. And, you know, I guess she thought I had a good idea. But it's really, the economy is so bad that, you know, you can't even hardly get a part-time job. I've been to 2 interviews, and I can't get as far as she went today. She was going about 20 minutes out. She's got a truck-ish type of thing. Actually, I think it is a truck. Yeah, it's a truck. She's got one of those covers on it. And so she can get a little further than I can. But she's been retired for years, so you know, she's got to be in her 70s or 80s. So, and I saw another lady, you know, 70, 80 years old, you know, just going for job interviews at that freaking age. I remember when I first started freelancing, my mom said, "Oh, you're semi-retired." Well, sort of, I guess. I mean, back then, you're talking 2000, you know, 9, 10, when I first started doing what I'm doing. So, yeah, I guess I could see her opinion on that. Actually, most of these onions are pretty good. Normally I throw out about half of them, but I'm not having to today. I don't know. Maybe everybody needed onions this week. What they had on sale was stuff to make either pot roast or stew. They also had carrots on sale and potatoes. And as you know, I really don't eat that stuff very often, so I didn't buy any. I didn't have the money. I thought about it, because $3 for an 8-pound bag of potatoes and $1 for a pound of carrots is pretty good. But in the end, I just decided I didn't have the money, and beef and onions is good enough. Well, that's not good. That's probably, I don't know what happened to that one. And it looks like white mold. So, okay. That one's done. But I got more out of that bag of onions than I expected to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 onions out of that one. I wonder if I could do this a little bit differently. I'm wasting a lot of water trying to get these onions rinsed. And I've noticed that I tend not to turn the water off and on, because I'd have to turn the water off and on 100 times, depending on what I do. So I really leave it run for an extended period of time, because I don't want to keep having to touch that handle. Let's see if this bowl helps. Let's see if this bowl is clean. So, yeah, that was the onions that I dropped, or that got shredded by the cart. So I only lost 2. That's really pretty good. Of course, it just goes to show, the minute you say, hey, normally I don't get this many onions out of a bag, the last 2 are trash. Every time, man. Every time. And my trash can is off the end of the table. So, no, I'm not throwing this shit on the floor. There's an onion. That's actually a good onion. Good size. Normally, when you get these onions in a bag like this, you get the crappy ones. Here's a micro onion. I'm going to make beef and onions. I'm going to caramelize these onions. That should take a good long time. And we'll see just how many. Oh. What is going on there? This may not be usable. Nope, that one's done. Nope, that's done, and I get to wash the knife. All right, I know what that was. It was an onion inside of an onion where it grew wrong. And I've used those types of onions before. That one didn't look right. It looked like it had started to rotten before it started to grow again. So yeah, no. All right, so let's try again. And I'll do a net. There should have been 6 pounds of onions in this when I started. I didn't measure the bags when I started, but we'll measure it. We'll assume that you know, the poundage was correct, and I'll measure this again once I get them all sliced. Because you do lose quite a bit cutting and peeling them. And I peel mine kind of deep. So, you know, I probably pull off more than the average person. But we'll see what it ends up being. I got 2 more onions. To peel. And I kind of cut them deep. Boy, these last couple of onions are powerful. All right. I actually got more of these onions than I normally do. Like I said, normally I throw away about 40 to 50% of them. So if I buy 2 bags, I expect that I'll have about 3 pounds left when I get done. Alright, so that's that. And I'm going to rinse these. Whoops. Oh, well, you know what? I know how to do this. So this is what we got almost out of those 6 pounds of onions. So this is what I got out of those 6 pounds of onions. Not bad. Quite a few onions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 onions. Lost 3. 1 fell out on the way home, and 2 of them I deemed not suitable for human consumption. Wipe this down again with a little bit of vinegar. I already rinsed the knife off again. Just getting everything done. All right, making sure it stays clean. And this onion skins. All right. Alright, my nose is so itchy, it drives me nuts. One of the things I want to do if I ever get my money, I don't know a better way to put it, because, you know, all you do is fight for it. But what I want to do is get my nose electrocuted. It's just so itchy. It drives me nuts. And nothing stops it. That's why you see me, you know, scratching my nose all the time on my shirt. Because if I use my hands, I mean, I'd just never get anything done. I'd just always be scratching my nose and washing my hands and scratching my nose and washing my hands. Oh, it's just awful. And I don't know what's causing it, so I just want to get all the nerves killed so it'll just stop. All right. Now I need to wash the skillet so that as I slice these and rinse them again, I can just put them in the skillet. But I said we would see how many pounds this is out of the 6. before I slice it. So let's find out how many pounds of onions I'm left with. Because these are fresh onions. Paid $5 for them. I need ounces. Alright, so I'm going to, I guess, play some onion Jenga. Let's play onion Jenga. Alright, I'm going to put some onions in the bowl. You know, and the question is, how many onions am I going to be able to get in the bowl? You know, I guess I should put this on pound ounces. I have a thing called pound ounces. Oh, and I just passed it. I don't use it very often, so I don't know where it is. Okay. So this is 1 pound, 5.1 ounces. So let's, 1 pound, 5 ounces, we'll say, is what these are. 1 pound, 5 ounces. And you'll just have to trust me that I'm not going to measure accidentally measure what I just measured. So that is 1.5, 1 pound, 5 ounces. And this is 1 pound, 14.9 ounces. So 1 pound, 15 ounces. So let's see here. I got a calculator on my watch. One. Oh, that's not going to work. Shoot. 1 pound, 15 ounces, and 1 pound, 5 ounces. 1 pound, 16 ounces. Crap, I can't do it. I can't do it. This is where technology fails. You can't even math that with a calculator because you have 1 pound, 15 ounces, and you have 1 pound, 5 ounces. So you have 2 pounds, 20 ounces, but that's still not right. It's still not right because 20 ounces is more than a pound. So you have to subtract 16 off of it so that you get 3 pounds and 4 ounces. So out of the 6 pounds that I bought, I ended up with 3 pounds and 4 ounces after cutting it all up and losing 2 onions to I ain't gonna fucking eat that, and 1 onion to the sidewalk. That sucks. I didn't think the yield was gonna be that bad, but that's pretty bad. I thought the yield was gonna be better than that. I'm gonna wash this skillet. Alright, I'm gonna slice these. If you're wondering why I'm doing this on a Thursday instead of Friday, it just looks like it's going to be a very, very, very slow day. I checked the metrics. They weren't what I like to see. I checked the work queues. That stuff's not working. I do have an article on plumbing I need to do today, but it's not due until the 19th. If you'll notice, the 19th is actually a problem date because that is not Monday. That is Sunday. Sometimes I think clients just don't understand what they're doing. Because if I'm going to take any day off, it is usually going to be Sunday. And I try to take Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off to give my brain a break. Because if I don't take 3 days off, I do not get any days off. Because I end up spending Friday running errands, I end up spending Saturday running errands. And you've seen me do it. And then if I have to work, I also spend either Saturday or Sunday, or sometimes both, writing articles and running errands, and it ends up being, I end up not having a day off. But the work is so bad now that you'd be hard pressed to get a day off anyway. Even if you have nothing to do, you're still going to be refreshing websites and doing social media and this, that, and the other to try and get work. So you really don't get any time off. And then if I'm not doing that, I'm working on novels and short stories and stuff like that. The only way I'm ever going to get any time off is if this stuff starts really going gangbusters. Sorry, it's not a chef knife or a chef board or chef anything, dude. This is normal cooking without any special equipment. You know what? You don't need all that fancy shit to make a meal. And you don't need all that fancy shit to make a good meal. And if you don't care about your counters like I don't, you don't even need a cutting board. I don't like cutting boards anyway. How do you know they're clean? Especially the wooden ones. How do you know they're clean? You're going to put a bunch of meat and cheese on a wooden chokey board, but I wonder why people fucking get sick. Maybe it wasn't the meat, dude. Maybe it was your freaking dirty ass, nasty bacteria in the wood grooves. Huh? You ever think about that? And they have these things called meat and cheese trays. They're usually plastic or ceramic. They separate all your meat for you and your cheese so that you're not cross-contaminating everything with everything else. They had them in the 60s, they had them in the 70s, they had them in the 80s, and I'm pretty sure they had them in the 90s. And they probably still have them today. This a lot of onion cutting. I gotta see if this pan is clean. It's not like I'm operating a cooking show, but, you know, part of being an author is learning to live on an author's budget, which is awful. An author's budget is awful. And it didn't used to be this bad. I actually made more in 2023 than I have in a long time, but it just didn't go anywhere. It didn't do me any good. This year's been a little bit worse than last year. Quite a bit worse, actually. So, you know, not only am I fighting with AI and I'm fighting with high prices, you know, I'm fighting with just a general loss of clients because they're going to AI. And I saw an article today, and it was on, I think it was on roofing. And I actually like doing roofing articles. I know a lot about roofing. But their directions are wrong. They're saying they're going to use Chat GPT 0, which is an AI checker. It's a bad one. It's a bad one. And it says if you get less than 15%, they're going to send it back for revision. And here's the problem with that. That's not how GPT-0 works at all. The percentage is how much AI it thinks it detects. So if it says, 10%, that means that 10% of the content is suspected AI. And they're going to send that back to you for a revision because they think that it's 10% human written. So they don't know how to read the thing. So that article was worth, it wasn't very long, it was only worth about $30. But it was short. And could I use $30? Sure. Should I waste 2 hours earning $30 to research roofing and then not pay for it? No, I can't do that. So I passed on that opportunity because the odds that they pay are like 0. So I said no to that one. I haven't seen anything else. I think that pan is clean. So we're going to put some butter in the pan. And then I'm going to start putting onions in it so I can caramelize them. So here's my butter, and I'm going to start putting onions in it. So this is 8 ounces of onion. I'm not happy with it. I'm going to put another 8 ounces in it. So this is 16 ounces of onions. As you saw in my last video, I bought 2.4 pounds of roast. So this is a pound of onions to almost 2.5 pounds of roast. And this is the rest of the onions. They're going to go in the freezer. So I'm going to let these onions cook down and caramelize. I'm going to sit down for a few minutes. Then I'm going to come back and re-clean this table and start chopping the meat. And there's what that looks like. It's not that I don't have the lid. I do. I just found it. But I have not washed that lid in quite a while. And I'm not sure how long or how many times I'd have to wash it before I deemed it clean. So this is good enough for now. All right, I'm working on cleaning up, but let's look at the ad paper for a minute. $10.99 T-bones. That's outside of my budget. $2.99 boneless chicken breasts. If you like chicken, that's probably a pretty good deal. And here's what I did. Basically, they're selling you, pot roast for $5.15. I would assume you're going to need at least 2 pounds of pot roast. So 5 for onions, 10 for pot roast. You probably need 2 pounds of carrots. So 10, 15, 19, 20, $21 and you can make a good pot roast. There were some other deals here that I wanted, like that pizza 2 for $7. Wish I could have afforded that. And I thought real hard about the potatoes and carrots. It's just not in the budget. $4.99 cherry wood or Hawaiian ham. Good price there. There's the Swiss cheese that I skipped because where's it at? Right there. Dutch Farms American Singles 2 for $5. I thought about getting the bratwurst. I just didn't do it. I don't have the money for it. And I wanted that ham steaks, but again, too expensive. But yeah, and then there's $4 butter over here. $3.99. I skipped it. This ad runs until Tuesday of next week. So if I miraculously run into some more money, I may go get that butter and some of this other stuff. But basically all I got today was what I had to have. Absolutely had to have. I remember when, regardless of your budget, you could get what you needed. You may not be able to get the brands you want or the quantities you want, but you were usually able to get what you needed with whatever money you had. These days, it's just not like that. You got to leave stuff that you actually need in the store because your budget's your budget and you just can't go over it. All right, so I'm going to chop this beef. Table's clean again. My kitchen smells a lot like vinegar. And I think I'm going to deal with this on the paper. I think I'm going to deal with it on the paper that it's on because I don't have any other way to do it. It's not like I could stick this in a pan and stick it in the oven. My oven broke a long, long time ago. So that's not going to happen. So the only thing I can really do out of it is make beef and onions, which I like. I forgot beef broth. Damn. Well, it is what it is, I guess. My onions are looking good. I'll show them to you as soon as I do the beef. And I got a bowl right here to put the beef strips in. But the only way I have to cook this is either in a skillet or in my toaster oven. And this size of a piece of beef is not going to fit in my toaster oven. Not going to happen. Let's make sure this is clean. Although all I did was cut onions with it. This is... Oh, shoot. Wow, guess what I just did? I am wearing a watch and jewelry, and I am about to touch meat. No, no, no. Don't forget to take your jewelry off before you do your meat. Because if you don't take it off before you do your meat, you will be sterilizing it. You will be taking it off and sterilizing it after you do your meat. So just save yourself a pain in the ass and take the crap off before you start dealing with raw meat. You know, I hate missing my steps too, but you know what? I hate more than that? Cleaning the shit because I freaking touched meat. Alright, so I need to get me a spot where I can start slicing. And And yes, this knife sucks as much as you would think it would. This knife sucks for this. And technically, it's a steak knife. It's been a long time since I've had to cut raw meat. There we go. Because that bit of fat ain't going to do anybody any good. So we can start chopping right here. And we just want strips or chunks or whatever. You know, it's just beef and onions. That's all I'm making. Alright, so I want to see something. I want to see how much meat I've got in that bowl. And the garbage disposal is going to be a no-go. In order to weigh the bowl that I've got to have another bowl of the same kind so that I can subtract the bowl from the weight. Boy, these onions look good. I'm going to show them to you in a minute. I don't want to measure this meat. And I washed the bowl. I'm going to put my onions in it here in a minute. But I'm going to see how much meat I put in this bowl. Just over a pound. It's 17.2 ounces. So, 17.2 ounces. I think I want at least 20. I think I want at least 20 ounces. So let's see. And then I will freeze the rest of this and maybe have it as a steak. 18.7. Let's do this part of it. $19.2. $19.7. $20. All right. I think that's what I'll put in the skillet with the onions. And then I'll freeze the rest of this for later. I don't think the skillet's going to be big enough to cook all of it. That's kind of why I'm doing it. Plus, if I get those potatoes and carrots, maybe something works out for me later in the week. I won't have to buy any more roast. I'll already have a little bit. And I don't know how much this is. I could weigh it. So there's 20 ounces right there, 1.4 ounces. We'll tear this out. And this says 12 ounces. So that's perfect for maybe a little steak or something. So we'll just put that in there and we'll just call that good enough. Gotta wash this stuff immediately. Gotta wash the table immediately too. So that's that. So let's see. 12 plus 20 is 32 ounces. So I got almost exactly. I got 2 pounds out of that, I guess. So that's pretty good. And sometimes I change my mind. You know, like I said, I was going to put all of it in the skillet. Well, you know, maybe I don't want beef and onions 100 times next week. Maybe I want something else. I don't know. But here's the, boy, the onions are really looking good. Can I caramelize some onions, or can I caramelize some onions? Wish I had some wine. Boy, that would taste good with this. There's my caramelized onions. It's too bad I don't have any red wine to go with it. But I don't. I'm not gonna do it. I shouldn't spend the money anyway. These onions would make good French onion soup, too. If I had red wine. And beef broth. But anyway, as much of it is done. Onions are done, so I need to Well, I need to, how do I want to do this? I need more butter. I need to put water in it. You know what? Let's do this. We're going to put some butter in here. I'm going to put the rest of the butter in here. This is 3 tablespoons. I'm just going to put the rest of this stick of butter in here. 3 tablespoons of butter. And you can't see what I'm doing because you're over there staring at the meat. I'm going to go ahead and put this butter in here. I don't have any wine to deglaze the pan. So, and the liquor store was not open when I passed it. CVS was, but, you know, whatever. All right. I don't have any wine to deglaze the pan, so we're going to do it partially with butter. Butter and water. Water will finish deglazing. That's 20 ounces of beef in my skillet, and I need to spice it up and let it cook for just a minute. So I put salt, pepper, and garlic on. I'm going to let it cook. I'm going to put some foil over that and let it cook just like that for a few minutes. Okay, I added the onions back to it, and I added the beef. Or I added the onions to the beef, and I added some water. Now this is just going to cook like this for quite a while. After the last image in the video, this is what it cooked down to. I just let it cook until most of the water was gone from the skillet. This was excellent. My only issue with it was that it really only made 2 servings. I ate about half of it this afternoon, and I'll probably eat the other half tomorrow, so it just didn't go as far as I was hoping it would. But then I've got that other 12-ounce piece in the freezer, so I guess all in all it will last longer, just this part of it won't. Anyway, it's very good though. Now I am going to work on the Horror of the Tazumari statue. Once I finished cooking this and ate and all that, I finished the plumbing article that I needed to do and did some other stuff, and now I need to work on fiction. Anyway, remember to like and subscribe, and I will talk to you later.